This spring so far has been lots of planning, and since we've had our last freeze, it seems, I've started planting in the garden beds. The first garden bed, which receives the most light, has okra, butternut squash, round cup zucchini, and radishes, with sunflowers and corn surrounding the entire bed itself. The second garden bed is a half Erling's green cotton and half onions, carrots, cabbage, lettuce, more onions, more carrots, and radishes, with corn and sunflowers surrounding the entire bed. The third garden bed is tomatoes, basil, two types of beans, and rosemary, with corn and sunflowers surrounding the bed. And the fourth bed is the newest addition this year, and I think it will just be dedicated to growing indigo dye plants. I've already had a few volunteer butternut squash plants pop up in the garden bed. These came from compost, but it meant I really didn't have to buy any additional seeds, so that was good. I also noticed a radish sprout appeared in the same garden bed, which is interesting because this is the second round of radishes I planted, and they sprouted before the first round. It makes me wonder if I accidentally planted the first round too far into the soil. My madder plant from last year also came back and has started producing shoots from its roots. For those unfamiliar, this is a dye plant that creates natural pigments for fabrics and yarn. Over my birthday, I was gifted a few packs of Save the Bees flour mix, which actually had many herbs like dill, basil, lavender, coriander, and bergamot. I decided to sprinkle the seeds over an area I had flowers growing last year and also planted some in my large container planter. I also sprinkled some of the mix underneath my water spout from the gutter. Since this does get a lot of water, I thought that it would be the perfect opportunity to put some flowers there. Some more volunteer seeds I saw sprouting up were in the container I grew cherry tomatoes in last year. Since I've already planted more of the same kind of cherry tomatoes in the container directly next to it, I'll be interested to see which one seems to be stronger. One project I thought would be interesting this year is to have a bog garden, which contains carnivorous plants. I've had these sundews for a few years now, and they had made so many baby sundews I was forced to do a massive repotting. The babies are inside, but I'm trying the mature plants out here. I also plan to get a few more bog plants once my local nursery gets them in stock. Going around my yard, it's always fascinating to me in the spring to see what pops up. I spend so much time thinking about what possible seeds are out there and what surprise plants I'm going to get this year. I love all the delicate vernal plants like purple dead nettle, henbit, dandelions, and chickweed. A few things that pop up are just from people who lived here before me who also seem to be a gardener, although unfortunately some of the plants that went into the ground seem to be non-native. We do have a blackberry bush though that comes back every year, and it's been nice to have a few fresh blackberries from in the summer. One project I worked on recently was the repotting of my rope Hoya plant that I keep indoors. I cut down a young mulberry tree that was growing up against the house and used the stem to make an arch for the Hoya to vine onto. I was really surprised at how malleable the mulberry branch actually was. A sad discovery was partly an experiment into the tolerance of this pitcher plant. Unfortunately, I think our winter got too cold for it to completely survive. There were some green parts that seemed to have come back, but with the rapid changing warm to freezing weather we've had in the month of March, I'm not sure it was fully strong enough to hold on.